Hello there everyone. So in this part of the video, I'd like to walk you guys through on utility classes. So there are a lot of utility classes that you can define in Bootstrap. So as you can see here right in my left hand side right here, you happen to have many utility classes. As you can see, background, borders, colors, display, flex, float, and all the way up to visibility right here. So as you can see here, there are a lot of utility classes that we can use. So first of all, we are going to be starting with spacing right here. And of course, because as you can see here, we have margin and padding. Margin and padding are the most commonly used styling properties in Bootstrap. So as you can see here in spacing, we have two different kinds of spacing, which is margin and padding. So as you know earlier by now, basically margin literally means is to give space from a particular container. And padding, on the other hand, is to give spacing within a particular container. And that's the only difference between margin and padding the difference is for margin we just make a space from a particular position, and padding on the other side is to give spacing within a particular container. Those are these two simple things, yet this is a mostly commonly used Bootstrap styling effect. And let's look at how to utilize this margin and padding in Bootstrap. So as you can see here, we can actually use the notation. And notation is basically like just by saying m, you're able to apply that particular margin properties. And for padding you can just say p right here, and that's how it is. So in order to have like a specific styling, for example margin top, you can just say mt, m followed by t dash the value of a particular margin top. And of course we are all the way up to, we have top, bottom, start, end, x-axis and y-axis. And as you can see, and if you just leave blank, example m-4 or m-1, it's going to be having in all the sides of the element. And this is a very basic one right here. So in this case, let's see the examples on how to make use of this particular margin and padding. And let's say if you say margin top dash 0, literally means margin top 0 like this. And ms1 is basically margin left because this is start, and px is basically x-axis, so you'll only be applied for left and right. And if you were to say y-axis, you're going to be top and bottom. That's the difference. And if it was blank, you're just going to be saying p-3. It's just padding as it is. Padding as it is will be applied on all four sides. And let's have a look on how to actually utilize this particular padding and margin styling properties in an actual code. So let's go to our code, and there you go. Right now I happen to be having a simple button that is basically wrapped within a div, and that particular div I've given a border. So in this case I'm just going to say border dash primary, and you'll be able to find that is a blue colored border that's surrounded by this particular button right here. And this is just some basic HTML components. So first of all, I would like to make use of margins, as we have seen earlier. Just by saying m dash any value, for example m-1, you'll be able to find you are able to give some spacing away from your container. So this is the one that I was referring to. We are basically giving one value of one margin away from a particular container. For padding, let's say if I put padding dash 1, this is going to be making sure to give spacing within your container. And there you go. This is some basic idea. And let's actually just increase the value from 1 to 5 like this. You're able to find that be more spacing have been given, and that particular spacing is a value of 5. And we can also like inspect what is the value of m5, p5, something like this. So in this case, all you have to just need to go into inspect, and we can actually see what is the value that's been given right. So as you can see here, when we hover on top of this particular container right here, you're able to find you have received margin of 48 pixels and padding of 48 pixels. And this is basically just like a representative of m5 and p5. And that's the basic idea of how this particular m5 and p5 actually is all about. And the next thing is that let's add just for a particular position. For in this case, we can see margin top. Margin top, it only applies for top positions. So as you can see here, when I put margin top, only the top part has received the spacing, while the bottom, the sides have not received any spacing. So if I change it to ms to represent m start, and let's see if I place m start, so only applies at this particular left hand side, because m left start is basically to have it here. And let's say if I change it to me, is basically m margin n, it only applies here. And yeah, of course it applies for padding as well. So if I put padding goes to top, only the top has been received padding of 5. And as you can see here, there's no padding on our right hand side or left hand side or bottom side. And this is the basic idea of positioning, of making sure to put padding or margin on a particular place. And besides that, we can also have x-axis and y-axis. So as you can see here, if I put margin, let me just remove all this E and P, T by the way. And as you can see here, when I put, let's say if I put for margin, if I just put x-axis, you'll be able to find only x-axis, for example, left hand side and your right hand side have some margin right here. And let's say if I put x-axis for P, as you can see here, you'll only find there's a padding on our left hand side and our right hand side right here. You can also inspect and you can see that only this particular padding only applies on right hand side and left hand side like this. So if I just hover on top of this, as you can see here, this particular green color area, as you can see on our both hand side are the padding, and of course the orange sides are the margin right here. So this is basically to have only on x-axis. So let's say if I were to change it to y-axis, let me just go to the code right here, just change the x to y, and you'll be able to find your spacing will be only be given only on top and the bottom right here. So you can see the green color is representing padding, and of course the orange color right at the bottom and the top right here is representing margin. And this is only meant for top and bottom because we have used margin y and margin padding y of 5. And these are the basic ideas of how you're able to make use of margin and padding when it comes to giving some space within and from a particular place in your container. So that's the end of this particular part of the video. Let's catch up on the next one.